Bless you.
Hey, I'm going to ask you a question. So, just talking about practice, talk about how you guys, feel like you're coming together now with the game behind you and this late night game tonight.
I think it's just taking it game by game and, getting to learn each other. We're also getting pieces back, so that's going to make us even more better than what we are right now. And just going off at each and every game and trying to get better each and every game.
What has Coach talked to you about? Just trying to keep you guys motivated. Knowing that you didn't have the full team together, and now trying to keep you guys gelling.
I think we're just taking it day by day, and we're just going with the flow. Whatever she think is sticking and working. That's what she's gonna go with, and you just ride out with that. And everybody's been playing super hard, and getting the concepts down. It's a new team, so everybody's learning, and you can only just get better each and every day.
I have a question, Lindsay Gibbs from Power Plays. The offensive output was so impressive the other night. I think really woke up a lot of people. Have you guys been shooting that well in practice? Was that a surprise to you? And what do you kind of credit that clicking to, considering you are all pretty new to each other?
Yeah, we got some real shooters on this team. But I think that's just everybody, been working on the individual game and, getting that opportunity to get out there on that court and show what they can do best. And that's just them. They've been working on their games, and that's really all I can say is people working on their game, and they got better to where they are making the open shots, making the right reads, and, doing everything and just gelling perfectly.
Thank you.
All right, last call for questions. Thanks, Mom.
Let's see. Somebody's gonna bother me. Oh, I look as tired as I.
If you have questions for Glory Johnson, go ahead and ask.
Do we just go?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hi, Glory, Lindsay Gibbs from Power Plays. I guess start with, how are you feeling? And how does it feel to be back in the real, well, I guess you're not fully back in the real world, but
It feels like
yeah. And just what was that, experience like? How did you sounded so calm on your Instagram video when you were talking to everyone, and I just how did you was that really how calm you stayed the whole time?
That's the mentality you had to have. For me, it was like when I first found out that I tested positive, for me, no symptoms, no anything. I didn't feel bad at all. So I was like, maybe it was a false positive. The next day I test positive again. Okay, so I'm feeling some type of way. I'm calling my friends, my agent. I'm nervous about telling it to my mom and dad because they always freak out. How Nigerian parents are. So they always freak out so much, then it makes you want to freak out. So I tried to maintain my composure. 2 weeks in, I called my mom. I was like, okay, so don't freak out. I tested positive for COVID-19. I already told my brother, so I'm glad he didn't tell you yet, but we're slowly making our way out, and I'm going to keep on testing every day until I get 2 negatives, and then there's a little bit more testing that goes into it, but after that, I'll be cleared. So don't freak out. We're moving towards the end. So they felt better about it, but just calling my babies, I got a lot of time with my babies on FaceTime throughout the day. They showed me arts and crafts activities on FaceTime, and I was kind of able to join, but not really, but pretend. So it's fine. That's how I spent my days and pampering myself, really, just in the bathroom a lot.
Were you asymptomatic the entire time?
Entire time. Like I didn't feel anything. I didn't have a cough. I didn't have mucus in my chest or any nasal activity going on, which was surprising. I would probably feel more comfortable if I had something that was making me feel a little bit sick. So I was like sleepy all the time. That way, past couple of hours just sleeping and, I felt like I was in there just eating and laying down and on FaceTime, maybe playing some video games. But I really tried to not look at Instagram and what everybody else had going on because I knew that I couldn't even step foot outside. So.
And you're quarantined off-site, correct? It's not. So, what was the quarantine situation like? Like, were your meals brought to you?
No. So as soon as I tested positive, I was removed from my villa that I was staying in. I had a little bit of time to pack up what I could and, take a bag or two to an off-site hotel where they would put players or any, close WNBA members in that hotel. And so once we got there, that's kind of it. I had a really cool nurse that Rachel, who made me feel super comfortable. But other than that, it was, just trying to not freak out, but at the same time, know that you're in good hands. So you're by yourself, you order food. I mean, it was hard for me not to start falling asleep whenever I wanted to and and waking up when I wanted to. I tried to stay on the same time frame as my teammates because I didn't want to fall into some overseas type stuff and then not wake up until nighttime and then fall asleep during the day. So the mindset was probably the hardest thing, trying to stay strong, stay in it. We couldn't do anything to get our heart rate up, so we couldn't really work out. So I knew I was going to come in and I was going to be dying, breathing heavy on the court, but my mentality is different. So even when we're doing shoot around, I'm like thinking, oh, this isn't bad. I thought I'd be dying by now. So
That's good.
Gloria, talk about the speed of the game today, coming back and getting back out there. I mean, did you feel like you had it, or was it a little bit of adjustment?
It felt really good. You have players on this team that are strongly developed. They were helping me out. The guards were helping me out do certain post things, and this team they're very knowledgeable. So they knew what they were doing already. So they were able to help me do what I didn't know how to do. So the plays and stuff is probably the biggest deal because when you run a play wrong and you have players there that don't know how to run a certain play, the team kind of looks lost. And so since they had been going through it and the coach understood, we had only a set game plan that I was going to work on just to ease my way into it. And my teammates knew that going in, so they were able to help me get in the right spot and talk to me while I was going through the plays and learning that since, it was the first thing for me. When I was in quarantine, I was able to look at it on just play, but, it's so different when you're walking through it. So that was probably the toughest part as far as getting up and down the floor and, actually running and whether I could still play basketball. I still had that after the quarantine.
You're new to the team, obviously. Did you have time in Atlanta before all this did you spend any time with your teammates? I mean, because I know there was still quarantine there. So just have you spent any time prior to this with the team?
After individual workouts, based on, we all stayed kind of in the hotel, different hotel rooms. So whenever we went to go eat, sometimes the cars were shared. So, I'd ask anybody if they want to go eat, they could hop in with me and then we could go get food and come back. So it was really, when we hung out, it was like just to get food. Maybe sometimes we would play games or cards or whatever, but stuff like that. We sit down and talk a lot, but other than that, on the court, we strictly were doing individuals. So as far as going through the plays and all that, we weren't really doing that. So we had certain setups where we would get shots from our plays, but as far as being 5 people on the court at the same time running the plays, yeah, we weren't doing that. So I really didn't know how it would work out as soon as I got on the court with my teammates who I had never played with before, other than Lex, Strick. I really didn't know how the younger players were going to move, and they moved good. They look good.
Hey,
What were
Gloria.
your thoughts? Go ahead.
It's Brendan Clean with Forbes here. I'm just curious, watching on TV or whatever way you were able to over the weekend, your impressions of the way that the league began the way that it's going to honor Breonna Taylor and the Say Her Name campaign and all the efforts that's going into that throughout the season, just how your impressions of the way it started over the weekend.
I absolutely love it. I love that women are able to take a stand. We're able to use this platform, to speak for others. And that's a big deal. It's not something that every female out there gets to do, but us as WNBA players, that's one thing that we should be proud to represent. We got to speak for other women that can't speak for themselves, women that have been killed, any type of injustice, even for the men, you see us speaking up for men all the time, and we need to speak up for women, and I think that's a really big deal, and I absolutely love it.
What were your thoughts on your team's performance? Quite the offensive output the other night.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I loved how they pushed. I loved how they didn't let out. Like, they did not stop fighting to the end of the game, and I absolutely love it. Every time, different players were on the floor, they still meshed. I love that aspect that they were running the floor, because I'm someone who absolutely loves to run the floor. And so I feel like maybe I could just fit in perfect. Let's run. If my point guard tells me to go, I'm going. That's it. And if we don't have it wide open, okay, I'm going to set a pick and roll in transition. So I absolutely love the way they were moving. I feel like I'm going to fit perfectly. And, as long as someone tells me to go, I'm going.
So
along those
will we see you play
lines,
tonight? Sorry. Are you going to be playing tonight?
I am open to, playing whenever my team needs me. So if they choose to put me on the floor today, I'm going to give my best, absolute best. You will see me, huffing and puffing a little bit, but I'm not going to stop running until they tell me, all right, well, you did your job. So then if I pull my shirt a couple times, call a timeout or pull me out the game. But yeah, I'm going to, as long as my team, if my team asks me,
But you'll be dressed for the game.
Absolutely.
Okay.
For sure.
What I was going to say a minute ago, the past few years, you've started to expand your range as a shooter a little bit, the past maybe 3 seasons or so, especially last year. As much as you've been able to talk about that with Nikki and what your role might be on this team, do you see that continuing? Do you expect to keep shooting? Do you expect to shoot more? Kind of where does that part of your game go this year?
For sure. The funny thing is I haven't really talked to the coach about it. She expects that from me. And she expects me to continue to develop my game. She expects me to play the 5. She expects me to play, 3, 4, 5. And for me, it really doesn't matter. She knows what I'm capable of. And I think that's where her expectations are here. And we're, mine coming out of quarantine are here, but since she expects me to be here, then I'm going to try to be here. So
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is, I know that we don't really talk about, okay, Glow, I want you to step out to the 3 and take some threes in this drill. In my mind, since I played for Pat Summitt, I will take some shots inside. I'll take some mid-range, and then I automatically will step out to the 3-point line before coach has to tell me, Glow, I need you to move spots, So that's just kind of what I've incorporated already into my game, so that my coach doesn't need to tell me that she wants me to do this. It's kind of like, you know what I can do, so I'll bring it to you as hard as I can. And if you want me to change or add this to my game or develop, all you got to do is tell me one time. And that's it.
Yeah.
First practice back, you hit the half-court shot.
Let me tell you, that never happens. Like once in like 7 years. My old teammates Strick will tell you, even from Tennessee, I was terrible at the half-court shot, but I always was the best one at distracting other people. So every distraction I could do, bouncing, talking to them, telling jokes, making them laugh while they're shooting. That's what I'm good at during the half-court shot, so that nobody else can make it. So this time I was last, so I didn't get to distract anybody, but I made it, so it works out. I think I'm going to ask to be last more often. Thank you.